Dudes and dudettes, how are you guys? This is Chazzy and welcome to quite possibly the most mysterious video ever recorded in the history of this channel, because today I'm gonna get to the bottom of one of the greatest mysteries in modern day human history, which is the disappearance of Elisa Lam at the Cecil Hotel back in 2013. This is something that has, I guess maybe the proper term isn't fascinated, that is probably a little insensitive, but it really intrigued me, ever since I found out about it some years ago. And it was really crazy because I actually recently watched a docu-series rather, on Netflix called Cecil Hotel, no, The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel, what the hell is it called? I want to get the exact read out here. As always, I'm using my my tablet as a cheat sheet. I got some stuff here, but man, this thing is cool, isn't it? This thing is just freaking awesome. Crime Scene, The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. It's a 4-part series on Netflix that's streaming right now. You can watch it. And the thing is that after seeing it, a lot more things became clear to me that weren't before regarding Elisa Lam. Just in case you guys don't know, in case you've been living under a rock or something for the last few years, Elisa Lam was a student who went to Los Angeles to apparently, it was Los Angeles, right? I'm pretty sure it was. Like apparently to just cool her head, and her parents let her travel. She was a writer, a promising writer. She was working on her blog on Tumblr and whatnot. But then as she stayed at the hotel, as the days went by, she started showing more and more erratic behavior, not just physically in person, but the way that she was updating her blog, the weird things that she was writing, and it started to become clear that this girl was a little, I'm not sure the right word is disturbed. I don't think that's a very good way to put it, but she did have issues, and she herself admitted that she was suffering from depression and she had bipolar disorder. So she had a few issues, in her head, and I can sympathize. I'm pretty sure a lot of us can. And then as the events started to unfold, things hit a fever pitch when there was a video of her that surfaced online on the internet. It went viral, of her in the elevator doing some really weird stuff, It was actually very strange, and it's one of the most I'm trying really hard to not be insensitive so I don't offend her family or anything, because it is a very tender topic, even though I'm talking about it in my Mixer playlist. But it was very strange because she was doing things in the video that didn't really make a lot of sense, almost like she either had schizophrenia or she was seeing something that wasn't really there that we couldn't see, through the footage, and she started gesticulating, here and there, and apparently talking to somebody who we couldn't see in the footage, and she was going in and out of the elevator, pressing a bunch of buttons, a lot of really weird stuff was happening, and I think it goes on for a few minutes, maybe 3 or 4, and it's very strange because the behavior that she was showing didn't seem to make a lot of sense, and it's really weird because the footage seemed to be altered to some degree, before it was released, and the timestamp was all weird and stuff. So what I'm gonna do is this: if I can find it, in whatever capacity I can, I'm going to put the full clip right here, right now, so you guys can watch it, and then after that we're gonna analyze it together. Pretty weird, right? So the thing is that, I mean, this in and out of itself was a little strange, but what I think was even more mind-bending was what happened afterwards, you know? Because this girl's body was found in the hotel's water tank, you know, those really big tanks that are on top of buildings that actually pump water into the buildings around them, or under them rather. You know, it was very weird because there were a set of circumstances that just didn't really add up, you know? Because, for example, that hatch is pretty high up, there is a ladder to it, but apparently it was too heavy to be lifted, but then I guess the lid was open and she went inside. You know, anything could have happened. You know, we can theorize that maybe she opened it herself and went inside, you know, or somebody threw her in there, you know. Like when you see something like this and you see a dead body, automatically you think, okay, it was foul play, you know, there was first-degree murder involved here. But they found her body inside the water tank and the lid was closed. It doesn't make sense because there is no way she could have climbed in and actually closed the lid on top of herself, you know. And if she really did fall in, there was no way to climb back up out, you know. Like the water level was too far from the top of the lid, you know. So essentially, after she fell into the water, she drowned, you know, or it is theorized that she drowned, you know, or suffered a severe case of hypothermia, you know. Her body might have gone to septic shock. There are so many different details that I actually picked up on when I was watching this docuseries recently, you know. So it was really interesting because it gave me different details regarding what happened that I didn't know previously, you know. Now, the thing is that when her body was finally discovered, this is the crazy part, because what started leading up to the investigation was that the guests at the hotel were complaining about a very weird taste in their water, you know, and at times it would even come out like brown, a dark color, you know. So then when they went to investigate, that's when they found her body, which was already in a considerable state of decomposition, which is what, you know, it was her corpse fluids, let's call it, was draining into the water, and it was... Can you try to imagine going through this? Like you find out that your water tastes funny, and then later you discover it's because there was a dead body in the damn water tank. I mean, I would probably never drink water again in my life. I'd like probably just stick to soda and juice or in wine from then on, you know. But the thing is that when they finally found her body, you know, she was completely naked. Her clothes were at the bottom of the tank, and she had already been there for a good amount of days. You know, that's what they calculated. And then the weird thing is that apparently they were looking for her there, but they didn't check the water tank. There were search dogs there that were looking all over the place, you know, and they still couldn't find her. So then it led to a series of investigations that started to, they started to piece together the story, but there were a few holes, you know. And when they finally did the autopsy, it was discovered that there was no evidence at all, no traces of foul play, like nobody had touched the girl. You know, there was no evidence of her being strangled or sexually abused or stabbed or shot, you know. Like there was nothing wrong with her physically, you know. There was nothing at all that could have led to any kind of speculation that there was foul play involved. And yet, of course, human beings being human beings, you know, everybody started saying, no, a conspiracy theory, no, this and that, because the hotel covered it up. And, you know what I mean? Guys, I'm gonna tell you something in the most sensitive way that I can. Not everything in life is a damn cover-up, you know. Not everything that happens has a conspiracy theory behind it, you know. So chill the hell out, you know. I mean, it doesn't even make sense for the hotel to kill off a random girl, you know. There were a few theories, like the Cecil Hotel has always had its history of violence, you know. Many serial killers actually found refuge in that hotel, and they committed their crimes inside of it, you know. A lot of people died, you know, mostly by suicide, and of course there's always the odd rumor that there's ghosts and stuff, it's haunted and all of that, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense, you know. There was one crazy factor that I saw in one of the episodes, that there was a conspiracy that the government was actually sending her to wipe out the population in the Skid Row area of Los Angeles, which is like the most dangerous slum in the world, you know, and they sent her there. This is really crazy. There is a chance that I might butcher this, so you guys might have to look it up later, but I'm pretty sure that there was a disease that they were studying, something that they were trying to concoct in a laboratory, or some kind of vaccine, something related to diseases and that kind of thing. And the scientific name of the disease, or the code name, was Lam-Elisa, you know, or something of the sort, or maybe the opposite, but I'm pretty sure it was Lam/Elisa, and the girl's name was Elisa Lam. This was not a coincidence, you know. I mean, you can buy into the whole fact that maybe it was a government involved thing where they intentionally sent the girl there, but I choose to believe that it was just one of those crazy universal, you know, it's not a coincidence, but it's one of those things where the universe kind of conspires in the favor of something or someone to happen in a certain way, you know. That's what I think happened, because it is obviously not a coincidence. You can't have a deadly disease or whatever the hell it is, you know, some kind of mutagen named Lam Elisa, and a girl named Elisa Lam dies in the hotel in the area where you were apparently concocting experiments or something of the sort, you know. That episode flew a little over my head. I can't really get the details right, but there was something involving this that had the same name as her, you know, and her having died at the Cecil Hotel. I mean, either it's a coincidence or there's something else going on here that we can't really see, you know. So I just gotta check my timer there. Holy crap. Whoa, it's been 9 minutes already, huh? Now, the craziest thing about Elisa is that, like, pretty much everything revolves around this being something supernatural, you know? Even though I'm a little skeptical, I don't really believe in ghosts, spirits, all that kind of thing unless I see one. But sometimes you gotta wonder. I mean, there's really no other explanation, is there? I mean, unless, of course, there were a few, the series actually took a few different lanes where it suggested that maybe she was in the elevator having an episode or something, hallucinating, and then she left and actually climbed up to the tower, you know, she tried to escape the voices in her head and went into the water tank, you know, but it still doesn't explain how it closed, you know, like how did it close behind her? It can't be the wind unless somebody else came down and closed it afterwards, you know, I don't know. There were a lot of different theories, you know. I choose to think that it was a tragic accident. You know, she herself climbed up there. At first, I thought that she wound up in the water tank, you know, like in a way that didn't make sense because you couldn't really open it because it was too heavy. Then later you find out that it can be open and a body can fit in there, you know. So it seems more feasible to me that, I mean, it could have been something paranormal, but then again, it does make sense to take into consideration, at least take into account the possibility that she did this herself, you know? So in my opinion, I think that Elisa Lam's death was just an accident. You know, like she might have gone into the water tank hallucinating something, then she went in there, you know, she started stripping naked. Maybe she was even aware of what was happening and tried to take off her clothes so she could float more, you know, and maybe avoid hypothermia to a certain degree. I don't know. Something could have happened, but like we can't really argue that it was just a tragic accident. It was very tragic. We lost what could have been a very promising writer, you know. It was a very tragic loss of life. And there are a few tidbits of info here that I'm going to share with you guys. She was only 21. It's funny because, I mean, there were people who apparently, the hotel staff and people who stayed there were complaining about her erratic behavior. Like she was being a little strange and she was kind of like harassing them, you know. So a clear sign that she wasn't really okay in the head, you know. But I don't know if she was taking any controlled medication to try and counteract it, you know. But the circumstances of her death really didn't make a lot of sense at all. Now, I mean, she did take medication for her bipolar disorder, you know, and there were a few things too. There were a few things that I'm actually looking at some stuff here, but it doesn't even seem like I need anything. Like everything is just, you know, coming to mind. But anyway, basically, I guess I won't even need my tablet for now. I kind of have the info at the top of my head. But they were complaining about her being a little strange and acting a little odd, and that might have triggered something in her mind, in her head, to make her act out the way she did. You know, I guess at one point the hotel staff even gave her a different room or something. So, like, at the time that I found out about this a few years ago, I didn't have the info that I have now. But after you watch this docuseries, it actually becomes a little easier to piece everything together. You know, people offering different theories about what could have happened, you know. But I honestly think that the hotel wasn't responsible. There wasn't a conspiracy or a cover-up, you know. And I think people who think this are just stupid and insensitive to her family. You know, like what would the hotel have to gain by killing off a 21-year-old girl who was just there to explore the city, you know? Yes, granted, she didn't really choose the best hotel, you know. There was a point when they actually made another hotel called Stay on Main Street, I believe it was called, where it's like a hotel inside the hotel, where you had the main lobby, and then a few floors up you had the Stay on Main, and then above that was the Cecil Hotel, you know. So she obviously chose the wrong place to stay, you know, because it's not really a hotel for a young girl like that. I don't think she could have handled the pressure of staying at a place like that, you know. It's a place for criminals and serial killers, you know, and druggies. So I don't think it was really, maybe even something happened to her while she was on Skid Row, you know. It's not a good place for anyone to take a walk in. So anything could have happened to her, man. Anything could have happened. So, like, it's very strange, it's very mysterious, and I don't think we're ever going to get concrete answers, unfortunately, you know. I mean, the truth lies somewhere in all the theories and all the lies, you know. Like, there are always different sides to a story, you know. Like, for example, if it's a two-sided story, there is one side here and the other side here, and the truth is always right in the middle, You know, it's always right there in the middle. There are always going to be two sides. And with Elisa Lam, there are several sides, you know. There's her family side, you know, other people's side. There's the hotel side, the investigator side, the police side. Everyone has different sides to the story, you know. So, I mean, the truth is somewhere, like, it's right there, man. It's right there in front of us in the middle of all of these, you know, different versions of what could have happened, you know. It's right there somewhere. But I'm afraid that I don't think we're ever gonna find it. I don't think we're ever gonna find the truth, because I mean, there are so many people, you know, coming up with stupid conspiracies and what could have happened, and government cover-up and government conspiracy and this and that and whatnot. So we're never gonna get to the bottom of this if you guys don't stop being so stupid. Now, when it comes to Elisa Lam, I mean, it's one of those things that it's bad, man. It's tragic, you know. It's really sad. It's horrible that such a young girl died in such a strange way. And like, if she really did have depression and had bipolar disorder and suffer from anxiety, which I do myself, so I can relate, like, what was missing? You know, like, why wasn't there somebody there to lend a hand, you know, try to help her to some degree? Like, what wasn't there for her to stop making the fatal decision of quite possibly ending her own life, you know? Because there is one other thing I didn't talk about. There is the possibility that she knew exactly what she was doing and it was an intentional suicide. You know, maybe even she decided to take her own life. Why she chose such a bizarre way, I don't know. Because if you really think about it, if you're gonna take your own life and you're in a hotel with several floors, the best way is to jump off of the top floor, you know? I don't know, maybe she wanted a more humane way. Maybe she wanted to do it in a way that wouldn't create such an exposition, like draw so much attention. You know, maybe she wanted to do it quietly, you know. So there is a possibility. You can't rule out suicide. It is a real possibility here, and it's very sad, because whenever somebody takes their own life, I mean, you always think, you know, what was missing? Like, what happened? You know, like, there was something there, you know, maybe one person saying one sentence could have made the difference, you know. So with Elisa Lam, this could have been the case, you know, like, what if her family, like, knowing what she hadn't allowed her to travel by herself, you know? Because I mean, yeah, she was there, she wanted to go and update her blog, you know, but what if her family members didn't even know? What if they only found out after, you know, all of that stuff happened? What if the hotel itself had a supernatural effect on her, you know? I don't think we're ever gonna know, you know, especially if people keep offering different theories that don't make any sense, you know? It's just getting dumber and dumber. But anyway, guys, that is my take on the Elisa Lam story. You know, it's very mysterious. The mystery surrounding it is always going to be shrouded in darkness until, you know, humanity. I don't think there is a solid concrete answer. Obviously, something has happened, but only Elisa Lam knew what really happened, and unfortunately, she took it to her grave. So, you know, we can conspire all we want. We can record as many YouTube videos as we want, you know. But yeah, I just wanted to try to raise awareness and give you guys what I thought about it. And go watch the docuseries on Netflix. I'm pretty sure it's still available, and it's very interesting, at least in my opinion. It's really cool. So you guys should definitely go check it out. And I think that's it, really. That's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to share it with you guys and tell you a little bit about what I think about the situation. The final verdict for me is that it was either an accident or an intentional suicide, one of those two. I don't think there was any foul play involved, you know. The autopsy report revealed that there was nothing there, so unless you're gonna give me one of those crazy cover-up conspiracy theories, you know, about the government pretending that nothing happened, but whatever, man. But anyway, rest in peace. You know, my heart goes out to this girl's poor family members and her friends who definitely are still missing her today, and will probably never, you know, get a concrete answer, you know. But anyway, that's it for now, all right? It's gonna go and go record something else. The next video is gonna be a little more lighthearted, I promise, all right? This is Chazzy, signing out for now, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video.